What's up, my rewinders? How we doing? We got the D-Gens on the pod tonight. Chris is not able to join us, but we have another Chris the card man over at Devi Dojo. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Doing good, man. This has been a fun week. It's the second time in 3-4 days that we've been on a pod together. So
yeah,
looking
you
forward to that.
You came in last minute, man. You were kind of the Hail Mary move, and I appreciate you jumping on.
I was like, sweet, if he's gonna tag me for it, I could do it.
Hell yeah.
And it'll be good to get on a show with Tom too. I think Tom and I may have did a live for Debbie Planet or something one Saturday, like early in the college football season. So that was probably like August, and we haven't done anything since. So good to collab with you guys.
Absolutely. So Tommy's down at the bottom right there. Tommy, what's up? Tommy's the host of Devi D-Gens. He does Devi Planet. He's got a Substack over there. He's got his hand in all the stuff right now, man. He's cooking up a lot of stuff. So Tommy, what's up, man?
Man, as you could tell by my headline, it's past my bedtime. So
well, you always are with SC. SC's on West Coast time. So
I know. It gets a little rough sometimes, trust me.
I can imagine. Sometimes I want to do a meet and greet with SC, and he's like, I can meet you at 12:45. And I'm like, brother, no, we're not doing all that. Like, we're not doing. Stop that. No way.
We gotta be up in the morning.
Yeah. We got the time change coming too, man. Don't steal my sleep in the next week or two.
Me and Tommy are dropping Omar Cooper Jr. Wednesday. So in 2 days, you're going to see Omar Cooper Jr. on the channel. But we're doing this draft a little different today. So we're doing a 2-round mock draft, only rookies. We want to see how the Underwear Olympics changed the outcome of the rookie draft. So if guys are rising, falling, if we see guys that are sliding up, want to see where Mike Washington goes in this draft. Obviously, there's certain guys that didn't test well. Emmett Johnson. Does Mikhail Lemon slide a little bit? Probably not with this crew, but I mean, there's always that possibility that people are, sipping on that off-season news that somebody doesn't test well, that NFL teams aren't looking at them well. And if you're in a league where you draft, like all of my Devi drafts are before the NFL draft. So there's always that big-time value picks, and then there's always guys that you swing and miss on. I mean, I think some drafts that I was in last year at this time, Bayshell Tootin was going in the first round. And, that was oversight a little bit. I mean, there's still a chance that he does have value moving forward, but the offseason paints all these narratives, and some people, anybody's got to believe it. The RJ Harvey going over Travion Henderson and Keyshawn Judkins. I saw that a few times. So it's always a good practice to have to go into this and really just kind of see where we're going. I did not set a draft order at all. So we're doing no timer. I didn't set a draft order. We're going to be talking about prospects. There's going to be no time limit on these. It's not your normal draft, but if you're in the chat, you got questions about any prospects, how they're moving, how they're shaking, just drop them down there and we can answer them as we go. I'm going to go Tommy 101, Chris 102, and then I'll take the 103 if you guys are good with that.
That's good. You made it easy on me. So
I think, there's no conversation here, right?
No.
You got to say it though. If you don't say it, I can't do it.
We'll go Jeremiah Love.
All right.
It was really down to him or Mike Washington here, but we're going to go Jeremiah Love.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing.
I was kidding.
I was talking. I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. You're looking at obviously Jeremiah Love's there, but I think Mike Washington might jump the shark not in this draft, but I've seen him. Chris, you took him not that far back, like a 109 today or 107?
109, yeah. That was more just riding the wave, and I'll probably be shooting for him in that roughly that range here. So we'll see how it plays out. But definitely one of the biggest risers of the combine. Naturally, if you've been plugged in at all in the last few days, done any mocks that have been floating around, seen any rankings, he's full up, man. He's all systems go. So exciting. He had a great combine.
Quick question here. Are we doing tight end premium on this?
Yeah, let's go 0.75 tight end premium, PPR,
Superflex.
Whatever. You want to go PPC, we can go 0.25 PPC. We can go D-Gens all the way if you want to do that. But let's do that. Let's go like D-Gens league settings. And even though this isn't a D-Gens pod, we're all D-Gens over here. So what are you going 102, Chris? Where you looking right now? This is where
I've been
you get spicy. I think.
Yeah, I've been riding the Jordan Tyson wide receiver 1 train for a long time. But
Okay.
you're seeing my man Mekhi Lemon staring down reporters. I'm putting him right here, 102, man. Mekhi Lemon, he's a lot of fun. I enjoy him. He was my wide receiver too. He might still be wide receiver too, but right now I'm feeling the vibes from what we were getting out of him. I just love that. And then I think it was Bryce DeGroat. Is that his name? He was the guy who had asked the question that resulted in the staring. And he clarified today. He said there was actually a question before that. Somebody had asked about Mekhi's height. And before that, he was not as locked in. You know, he was not looking as lethal up there. But whenever one of the first questions he got was about height, you could tell his mood switched a little bit. He was a little bit more, all right, this is how we're going to play that game. So that's why he ended up kind of staring down the reporters and everything there. But I just love that mentality, man. Like fully focused. Everybody's dragging him for it. I don't get it, man. I love that. You want your wide receiver to have that I'm the man, I'm the alpha mentality. And if he's going up there, he's going to have to be in a lot of media scrums here in the future. So, I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I listened to all of his at least all the media that I could find on him being interviewed, and everything sounded so excellent from the outside eye. And what I heard and how he spoke, I think that you're nervous in general. I think that a lot of his interviews, he had nerves, definitely, which is completely normal. You're talking to a 20-year-old kid, probably in front of more cameras than he's ever been in his entire life. Like, that's tough. And this is like a high pressure situation. I don't think it comes off as cocky. I think it comes off as, you're really just trying to overcompensate for your nerves. And then, you're going to poke holes in the best wide receiver in the class. I mean, I know that Tommy has him as wide receiver 1. I have him as wide receiver 1. You're pretty, I guess, on the fence, and you might be actually on that side right now. But all these guys, like Tator McMillan, was viewed as, I don't know, people knocked his profile big time. You had guys like Steve Smith talking about how, he wasn't as good as Matthew Golden, and it's just like weird narratives that were painted that, he's lazy, he misplays, he doesn't check in with, coaches, and he just like, there's always that stuff. Jamar Chase jumps when he caught it. He had bad hands. JJ was only a slot guy and he wasn't going to play on the outside. These guys are always knocked in combine off season, and nobody ever learns their lesson because, they are values at some point. Somebody's going to not take Lemon in the top 3 picks. You're going to see it somewhere. Yeah. I don't know about our leagues, but somewhere.
Sun God fell to the 3rd round. So let's not act like these NFL GMs know more than what normal people know most of the time.
Yeah. Well, I'm at 103. I think that I was always wide receiver over quarterback here. I think that I'm probably going to go take the 101 in the draft right now and go Fernando Mendoza. And I might regret that at some point, but I think that, we're looking at a guy that's going to be going into a Kubiak offense. And we talked today a little bit about, possibly tapping a helper on the outside, or, in the slot, somebody that they can get in the 2nd round. And I just think that he's going to come into a pretty good situation. And I like his composure. I like the way that he carries himself. I like his game. I like his arm. I think that he does have that possibility of, coming out and being a decent quarterback too his first year. And then obviously, gaining some steam and having that team improve. But it's the Raiders, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm painting this like pipe dream right now, but I might regret that. I might regret taking him, taking him over Carnell Tate or Tyson. But, it is what it is. I went for it.
There's plenty of opportunities for them to theoretically pair him with one of his wide receivers. They have a need at wide receiver as well. They traded Jacoby Myers. Who knows where Omar Cooper or Surratt goes in this upcoming NFL draft, but somewhere in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, maybe even round, they might be able to grab one of those guys. Probably Surratt if it goes all the way to the 4th. But, that'd be great for him. Just get him a friendly face in there. He's got his safety valve and tight end Brock Bowers, but get him a guy on the outside that can really do some damage. That's good for him.
Yeah, I mean, we talked today about Omar Cooper in the 2nd round. They got an early 2nd. There's a very possible chance that You know, if there's a lot of defense that are, you know, this class is pretty deep in the defensive side, offensive linemen and stuff like that. So these wide receivers that everyone's painting, everyone's a first round wide receiver this time of the year, right? Like everyone,
right?
Yeah, the Cooper's going to be a first round, Brazel's going to be a first round, Casey Conception's a first round. I'd hate to break it to everybody, but not all these guys are going in the first round. So there's going to be somebody there that they can tap for Fernando Mendoza in the second round. That's probably going to help him a great deal. And if it's Cooper, I'm going to love that fit. Tommy, you thought it. You mentioned that today. You were talking about Cooper in the second round.
I did, and let's also not forget that the Raiders are probably trading Max Crosby for a first round, for a couple first round picks. So if they end up trading him to one of these guys late, kind of mid to late first round, they could pick up their defensive end of the future there, and then have plenty of ability to take somebody like Omar Cooper in the second round.
Absolutely,
yeah. Before we Tommy, you get to the next pick there. Justin's asking, do you want Mendoza or Cam Ward? I've gone back and forth about this. How do you guys feel? I mean, it's hard to take a guy not in the NFL yet over a guy that's in the NFL, but we are looking at situations right now. What about you, Chris? Where do you land on Mendoza versus Cam Ward?
I think the boring answer is Mendoza, because he's going to be worth more dynasty value at this point in time. And I do think that he's got a long career ahead of him. Kind of like you said, I think he could be a contributing QB2 for years to come. He might chip in some back end QB1 years. I don't see him being an elite talent top end, but I think that he's got that steady, plug him in as your second quarterback in super flex and let him ride kind of opportunities. But I think if you want to shoot for the moon, Cam Ward. So Cam Ward's got a little bit more upside, I think. If we were evaluating them in the same class, I'd take Cam Ward over him. It's just a matter of, can Cam Ward wash the stink of this first year with an ugly team surrounding him off of him and kind of rebound a little bit. So there's a good buying opportunity right now to go get Cam Ward.
Yeah, let's not forget that the magic of Brian Daboll, the quarterback whisperer. He's the one who got Josh Allen to Josh Allen level. And I don't have any doubt that Cam Ward has that type of work ethic too. So Ward could easily shoot up to be one of the top 12 to 15 type of quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, Dustin's in the chat, chiming in with you. He agrees.
Yeah, Dustin over here. What's up, Dustin? Nice of you to join us. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, I mean, the Daboll hire is important, because, man, he brought everybody back to life. Daniel Jones looked very viable that first year that he was with Daboll, and that was after not really looking good. Obviously, that didn't stayed long term, but you're right. He looked fantastic with him last year, and very possible. I mean, Cam Ward, for what it was, he does hold the ball a little too long. He does take way too many sacks when he just a little indecisive with his throws, but that team breakdown, the whole offensive line, everything is not pretty. So the Titans need to tighten up a little bit. They need to fix some situations over there. The O-line needs to really get better. And then
good thing is they have a ton of cap space. So
yeah, they got to do like what the Patriots did. They got to rebuild in 1 year, essentially, which they absolutely could. If they want to throw some money out there in the free agency market and then combine that with the picks and stuff, I think they could build a decent year 2 situation for Cam Ward. I think I'm going to take Cam Ward here too, just because it's more of a promise. It's not, though. I don't know. I'm trying to say that the Titans more promising. I think Daboll effect, and then what I've seen from Cam Ward isn't all bad. I think that he showed a lot of, he shows a beautiful play, and then he takes a sack, and then it's like there's got to be consistency there, but I think he has it and he can do it.
Yeah, I'm just glad, like you mentioned, the coaching staff has changed, because I have a lot of faith in those guys to right the ship a bit. I liked Will Levis more. I know now it sounds crazy, but I feel like even he got a little bit of the short end of the stick down there. And, there's some talent in these quarterbacks that has been left undeveloped. And hopefully, this new crew can come in and rebound him a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, that's a good question. It's a tough question. And
look at Malik Willis, man. He's the hottest name in the free agency market. And he got out of there quick and rebounded his value with a different coaching staff. So things could be changing in Tennessee.
Ecosystem and its overall system in general. When you get with a guy that has faith in you, all you have to do is get with somebody that believes in you. I think that was really the biggest issue when you have these guys that are in a system that they lose faith in themselves. They lose everybody. The whole team lose faith in you. Like the Genos and the Sam Darnold and stuff. These guys are so low. And they don't have anybody to say, hey, man, I believe in you. I think you can do this. And that goes a long way. I think Mac Jones has felt that over there in San Francisco. Obviously Daniel Jones felt that in Indianapolis.
Baker for a bit.
Baker too. Yeah. You got to be in a system with a quarterback coach, head coach that says you're our guy and you're going to do it. And there's no fear of, being sat or, somebody behind your back just whispering that I'm going to take your job. And that goes a long way for sure. But Tommy, it's all you, baby. What do you got from 104?
Well, since we've established that this is a tight end premium, I'm going to take a guy that has 100 catch upside here. Give me Eli Stowers.
Oh, baby.
Love it.
I got to search for that one. I love that. I love that. I think Stowers is definitely going to be a PPR monster. I think, hopefully he's landing right, but where's the perfect spot for you? If you're this high on Stowers, where do you want him going?
Man, I would love Denver. Denver put him with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Man, Jimmy Graham feasted when he was in New Orleans with Sean Payton. And I mean, Stowers has, again, he has 100 catch upside here. I mean, to me, in a tight end premium, you get points, you get 0.75 per reception there with him. I mean, that's money. That's just straight cash.
This is spicy, Tommy. This is spicy to me. I like it. Your nuts are definitely out there right now, and I enjoy that. Over Tate, Tyson. Yeah, I like it though. I mean, you're owning it. You're saying this is my guy, and I need that. I need some spice in this. How you feel about that, Chris?
If this was not tight end premium, I probably wouldn't do it. But since it is, you're getting those bonus points with him. So to me, he has more of an upside with those bonus points being potential 100+ catch guy.
Yeah.
Almost possibly right off the bat. He could have a Brock Bowers type season.
I could see that. I could see definitely
Love
him,
to see that,
being in a spot where the wide receiver situation is, well, like you don't want him jumping into I don't know, if he goes and plays with Chase and Higgins, I don't love it, but and even though that actually still like a decent spot, but like you want him to fall into a spot where they don't have a ton of weapons and he is probably going to profile as a second option, which there was so many teams, he could go anywhere. He'd go to the Patriots and be their wide receiver one at this point. But all right, Chris, where are you going? 105.
Yeah, I like that because that left Jordan Tyson, who I was thinking about at number 2 overall. He's right there waiting for me. So happy to collect my top 2 wide receivers right here at the 2 and 5 picks. I think Tyson's got the most upside of the wide receivers in this class. His obvious knock has been his health, right? He's had a lot of issues, ACL, collarbone, something else in his leg, a hamstring or something. Just been marred. Like half his career of college at this point has been taken away from injuries. So that's going to be the biggest question mark. But I think he's still got a really legitimate shot at being a top 15 pick in this draft, maybe even top 10. I think any team that wants a wide receiver is just going to salivate over that upside and draft him, which is one of the underrated parts of Lemon being knocked down a little bit, right? Because if they start to buy into this talk, the NFL GMs, and he falls into some of those better playoff teams, I don't think it'll happen, but that makes him more of a threat, right? If he's avoiding all of the Jets of the world, right? The Giants of the world. But I think no matter where Tyson lands, he's a great option for his quarterback. He can get open. He's not the best separator in the class, but he's always open, even when he's not open. He goes up there and gets the ball. He makes ridiculous catches, sideline catches, one-handed grabs. He's a highlight reel. I just love watching him play. So with these first-round picks, at number 2 overall, maybe you want to play it a little bit safer, but right here with your 1.5, man, shoot for the moon, and that's where I'm going with Jordan Tyson.
Nice, man. Yeah, I like you standing on business with Tyson. He looked pretty good. I don't like his form when he's putting up the weight there. He did the bench press and he did very well. He was one short of, I think, Jalen Noel's record. I think Jalen Noel has the record for bench press for wide receiver, which is pretty wild because Jalen Noel is 170 pounds, or I don't know what he weighs out at, but he's not. Maybe he's a little heavier, 185 or something. But yeah, I mean, he looks like his collarbone's completely healthy for sure. The way that like I have a shoulder problem and I can't even put up any weight right now. So, and that was about 4 months ago. So the fact that he's fully healthy on that side, I think that the only thing I worry about, all his injuries are different. They're not like recurring. He doesn't have like a recurring knee injury that keeps going and going and going.
Yes, that's a bit of a plus side.
Yeah,
but also if your body's always getting hurt, it's like,
I know
people are always
like
going to
sometimes it's you can't really, if there's like one injury that is just constant, if like you are constantly hurting your knee or your shoulder, or I think that just the recurrent injury of that same spot is probably more worrisome than getting random injuries all over your body.
An ACL, man, that can happen to anybody at any point in this game these day and age. So yeah, it's a tough one. It takes a lot out of your sales, but most people come back pretty strong. He's still young.
I mean,
he's got all that young blood flowing through him, healing his body.
I was at 19 and I run, I run every day on that thing, like long mileage. So and he's also, man, I'm getting old. So Tyson can easily come back from that, All right. So I think this is pretty good value right now. And I'm at the 106. I'm going Tate at 106. I know that he got knocked a little bit, but he's never been a speed guy. I never thought he was going to like test well. I probably wouldn't even done the 40 if I was Tate, but I think that he was probably like, well, I'm going to do it and I'm going to show people and this and that. But that's people knocking him right now. And I think that's pretty silly. Tate's not that speedster. He's a tall, wide out power X, guy that's probably going to just like, I want him to see him like go to the Ravens. I talked about that today, like lining up on the outside with Lamar Jackson and having Zay Flowers work within the middle out of the slot. And, obviously Andrews over there. I think that really is a good fit. And they're talking about him going to the Titans early on. I think the Titans have the 107 or the 106 or something in that range. I mean, that might be a little spicy for Tate, but I think that before the combine was where he was looking at. Have you guys knocked Tate at all? As far as you both passed on him over here. So are you a little lower on Tate after the combine, or were you always a little lower on Tate in general?
No, if I hadn't taken Stowers, I would have taken Tate. Honestly, I mean, Tate reminds me a lot of like a Dez Bryant, never going to be a burner, but he's just a guy who's going to go win. He's going to make tough catches. He's going to be physical. Like you said, he's that power X. And I don't have an issue with taking him in the top 3 or 4, honestly.
Yeah, just real quick, I saw this tweet. This was a David Gautieri tweet. Here's some of the guys that are in the 4.5 to 4.53 range, just like Tate. CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown was 4.49. Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, Rashee Rice, Mike Evans. This is a non-factor. And, he's proven his ability to be a deep threat. And he doesn't do that just with speed. He does that with his route running, his separation, his amazing ball tracking. He tracks the ball extremely well running deep. So we've seen a lot of highlights of him, Julian Sand throwing it way deep to him and him getting wide open. I don't have any concessions with him running slightly slower than we thought he might. That's not really a big factor to me. It's just a matter of, where is he going to land? Who's he going to play with? It's going to be the biggest upside for him in year one. But long term, I don't have any qualms. For all 3 of these guys, man, it's real close. I've been a big Tate guy for a while on the dojo, even prior to this last season. I'm really happy that he's finally getting his due. And, I always say just take the Ohio State receivers, man. They're going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, and we got to, as people that are in the space and stuff, we got to stop putting so much weight on the 40 when these guys have so many other ways of separating, and it's not really a make it or break it. It doesn't hold the weight that it used to in the old NFL where you needed to be a speedster to get your separation. These guys have nuance to their routes. They are doing different things. They have manipulation to their game. They are more savvy than the old NFL wide receivers in general. And I think that all three of these guys, when you're talking Lemon, Tyson, and Tate, they all have technical route running ability. And they have that way of separation without speed. They don't need to be fast to get their separation. They're good off of the line, and that's what I care about. Can you get that separation first step, second step? Can you get that guy moving in a different direction with your head movement, with your shoulder nod, whatever it is that you use for defensive manipulation? It has nothing to do with your speed. It's like your nuance. It's your tempo. It's the way that you run your routes. And that's all I care about, man. I mean, I don't care how fast you run in a straight line. I care about how you can get that separation outside of that speed. Because if speed's all you have, you're Jalen Hyatt to me. You know, you are a Worthy to me. You know, if that's how you get your separation, then if you're one dimensional, I don't care, man. I don't care if you run 4.2. It doesn't matter to me. That's my rant. But
absolutely, yeah.
Where are we at? I just took it, so I think we're back to you, Chris, at 107.
No, I think Tommy's.
Wait, am I wrong?
Next, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Tommy, I'm sorry. I got too fired up.
No, that's all right. Yeah.
All right. Well, since it's back to me, I'm gonna take my guy here. I'm gonna go Omar Cooper Jr.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had a nice little conversation today about him. Everybody watch out for that little pod dropping. What day we go drop that?
We're gonna drop that Wednesday. So
Wednesday.
We got 2 days on the channel. But yeah, we're doing early morning Wednesday. You're gonna see that pop up on the channel. Omar Cooper Jr. rookie profile.
Yeah. So if you want to know my thoughts on him, go watch that on Wednesday. But I'll just say here, 4.42 is good speed for him. 37-inch vert shows he has explosiveness, and the fact that he can win fighting through contact as a wide receiver gives me a lot of that Deebo Samuel feel.
Yeah, he is a running back, like build, the way that he runs. He can go through contact. We talked all about this, and I'm not going to give too much away right here, because as Tommy just said, we're dropping the rookie profile on Wednesday. Tommy and I both like him. We both see him, if he's fallen right, as an absolute weapon in the NFL. I just need to see my man fall right. I want him to be in, I guess, like all the offenses are kind of close now. I guess everyone's mimicking the Kubiak Shanahan type of offense at this point in the NFL. But yeah, I just want to see him use right, baby.
But please send him to Kubiak or Shanahan. That'd be even better.
Yeah, Kubiak, Shanahan, McDaniels. I know that it's crowded over there, but I mean, I don't know where Trey Harris is. I think he could probably jump Trey Harris pretty easily, and Quentin Johnson is Quentin Johnson. So if you can get him over there, Lad's a mostly slot guy, but you can figure out a way to work that, and then I'll be patient with him too. If he falls to McDaniels over there, I don't know. Keenan Allen's gone, right? There's got to be some targets out there somewhere, but I'd rather him fall in a crowded wide receiver room, but in the right system.
Man, imagine he fell to the Chiefs in the second round. Ooh, that Andy Reid play calling would be fantastic for him.
Yeah, I think that would line up well, especially you see Rice suspended for half of the year or whatever's going to happen with him, and you got Worthy on the outside, and you take another guy, a bigger guy, and later in the draft, and I like that offense. I mean, I hope that we see Mahomes healthy first game of the season. But all right, now we're on Chris. Where you going?
Yeah, and this is where it gets really interesting, right? I think a lot of these names kind of expected in this range. I would have loved to grab Cooper here at 8, but because I've already grabbed my top 2 wide receivers. I'm going to break from my board a little bit yet again, and I'm going to take Kenyon Sadiq. We have established this is a tight end premium. I think this is a great spot to get him. I think he's probably going in the first round of the NFL draft. Probably not necessarily the highest upside. I think that's why we see Stowers going earlier here for fantasy purposes, but I think that he's getting a lot of knocks on his blocking lately. I feel like he's complete enough to be out there for a majority of the snaps, even on blocking snaps. So he'll be out there more often than some of these other tight ends that you see, the Kyle Pittses of the world that aren't really out there for a lot of run blocking. They're doing their thing, but they're not always on the field. So I think that he's got a good chance to be on the field a whole lot. I think he's going to be one of the more pro-ready tight ends we've seen coming out of college here in this last few years. And I do think this is good value for him right around here when we know what's coming is, a ton of running backs are still on the board. There's still some good wide receivers on the board. So just going to lock in my tight end here, knowing that I already have 2 good wide receivers on the board.
Yeah, I like that. I think that Sadiq did himself all the favors in the world running that 40, just showing his athletic ability, like that's what he is. He's that super athletic, physical type. And he reminds me of, I said this on, I think maybe our pod or somebody's pod recently. I was talking about, who he reminds me of, and he's no longer with us. If you get my drift there, I won't speak too much on it, but, he does have that athletic,
decent comp.
reminds me of a hybrid wide receiver where, you can line him up everywhere and you can knock the blocking all you want, but he's a physical weapon, and you line him up with a physical second tight end, like it. And I think that wheels up for him for sure, especially in fantasy. All right, I'm going 109. I think this guy is a good consolation for if you miss Tate. I'm going to take Denzel Boston right here at 109. I do like his physicality. I like that he is a contested catch monster. He has that contested catch ability similar to Tate, like he can go up there. He does work the same as Tate. Like he doesn't have the really sharp route running that Tate has, but I think he still is a similar prospect in the sense that he's that power X, that he can out muscle you, that he can go get the ball in the air, 50-50 balls all day. I think I like Tate with the Ravens. I like Denzel Boston with the Ravens too. I think that they've been lacking a power X for a long time. They haven't really had anybody that Lamar can just, come back and throw that up to. They've been kind of a dink and dunk offense for the past couple of years. So I got faith. I think that Boston has been dinged up a little bit in the combine. I know that he dropped the pass in the gauntlet, and I think he's losing steam a little bit. I think everyone had Boston as a top 4 wide receiver. Where were you guys with Boston beforehand? Higher, lower?
I like
him.
I've always been right around wide receiver 5 with him. For that kind of that 4 or 5 range, depending. I've kind of fallen out with Jordan Tyson a little bit, especially just due to the multitude of injuries he's had. Prior to the season, I was all about Jordan Tyson. Then he just continuously gets hurt, man. So to me, I've kind of fallen out with Jordan Tyson. So I would probably have my top 4 would probably end up being Lemon, Tate, Cooper, Boston, and then probably Tyson.
Got you. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of with you, but I know I love Tyson. I do.
I would like to see Boston run. If he could run that 4.53 type of speed, kind of right around the same that Tate ran, I think it answers a bunch of questions about him.
Yeah, well, the pro day runs, you got to add at least 0.3 seconds to all the runs that you see. I mean, at that point, or you got to time them out yourself, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. But you got to see multiple clocks on these guys in their pro days, man. I'm sorry, it is what it is.
That whole report about Tate, people saying he ran, 4.47 whenever we were hand timing him. Well, of course he did. You're hand timing, laser time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, especially you need to see these guys running at high school track fields, and they're like, Yeah, we got him, man. We got him on the hand time, and I'm like, man, I don't know. You're posting TikTok videos. Who would like Sean Tucker was doing that a lot. He was injured, and he was posting these like hype videos of him with like an editor doing TikTok videos, and they were doing the hand timer with everything. And I was like, oh man, I can't. I'm not falling for this shit. Don't do this to me.
It's like how they say these high schoolers are running 4 3s at these camps. Yeah, well, of course they are for hand timing them. You're trying to push that narrative a little bit.
This is why some guys wait till pro days. They want that hand time. They want a little bit something extra to bump up their stock a bit. Yeah, I think Boston's great. Loved him. I considered him there at 8. I love his strong hands. I love his contested catch ability. I am wish casting him to the Chargers. I think he would be a great fit there as more of a red zone threat. Let Ladd do his thing in the middle of the field, work his separation magic, and give Herbert somebody who can really go up and get the ball in the red zone.
Yeah, I like that. I hope that it all shakes out. They really love Quentin Johnson over there for whatever reason. And he just, he keeps getting chances, and it's fine. I mean, he showed improvement, but I would love to see Boston instead of Quentin Johnson out there in the red zone.
Absolutely.
Or they can deploy both of them. And who was playing? I mean, Keenan Allen was on the other side, right? And then it was kind of a mixed bag of guys at that point, but that O-line did him no favors. I don't know if he could even hold the ball long enough to throw it to the end zone by the end of the season. All right, Tommy, you're 110.
All right, my 110 here. I'm going to go with Casey Concepcion.
Okay.
Kind of built similarly to Omar Cooper. A little bit, maybe 5-6 pounds, a little bit lighter, but he's a different type of mover. To me, he's more quick than fast, but he can kind of stop on a dime. Kind of one of those real quick shifters. Whereas Cooper is going to run through you. This guy's going to run around you. So kind of went a little bit of a little bit different direction as far as a wide receiver here.
Yeah, I've been a bit of a KC hater, and all the other guys at the dojo are mad at me for it. But this is a great spot to take him, back end of the first round. There's a pretty good shot he's going in the first round of the NFL. And if he makes it to a team like San Francisco or something like that, I mean, boy, it's wheels up. He's going to have to go higher than some of these guys we just took. So there's a little bit of analytical profile knocks on him. His junior season last year wasn't too terrible, but when you look at his whole career, his yards per route run, especially not quite where you want it to be, he's fighting historical projections that aren't great. And I understand that, he didn't have a fantastic quarterback even this year. He's playing at NC State before that. So there's a little bit of a hurdle to overcome there, but I'm a little bit stuck in my ways. That's why I have him a little bit further back than some of these other guys that I've already taken or discussed here that have already gone off the board, just because I feel like there's less risk from some of these other guys. And there's a little bit of risk with Concepcion, but this is a great spot to grab him for sure.
Yeah, with Concepcion here, he especially his sophomore year, he was catching everything at the line of scrimmage. I don't think that was necessarily of any fault of his own. I just think that was just the way that they were trying to get him the ball, because he was the only playmaker they had.
Right.
So they were just like, we're going to get it to you however we can get it to you here, whether it's a quick screen or a little 2-yard crosser or whatever. We're going to get you the ball however we can.
Yeah, I think this year, I don't have the stats right in front of me. I think his ADOT was like 13 something this year, so definitely not the same as it was in prior years.
Right.
Yeah, he showed that he can definitely work on the outside a little bit. He's been versatile with the way he lines up and stuff like that. Early on, NC with that quarterback play was awful, man. They couldn't get him. We talked about that a little bit backstage the other day, but they couldn't get it past the line of scrimmage in general, like that. And they didn't do him a lot of favors last year, obviously. I think that some of the drops that he had wasn't necessarily his fault. I do think that he has concentration drops. I do think that, he tries to move without the ball in his hand sometimes, like he's already in motion before the ball gets to him. And that's mental. I see mental stuff going on with Concepcion, but when he's got the ball, he's got that yak ability, very similar to Omar Cooper. He can definitely work in open space. He's not physical, but he has a little more wiggle to him, a little more jump step, and he has those second moves that I think that his route running is probably much better than Cooper, but I think that he doesn't have the red flags Cooper has when it comes to his hands. So there's like things that I could go back and forth about these guys. And I've done a couple pods comping them, but I think this tier of Cooper, Denzel Boston, and Casey Concepcion could go any which way. I think as far as the NFL draft goes, it could be, people that are, I don't know, Boston lines up and he falls to the Bills or something, and Casey Concepcion ends up in San Francisco, and then Cooper, I don't know where Cooper could go, but there's definitely a fluid situation going on here, but I think Cooper definitely has the most upside, but I think Casey Concepcion probably has the most NFL ready skill set between the two of them. But how that works is how it works. I don't know. I think that the value there is good no matter what. If it's Cooper or Boston or Concepcion at 110, I wouldn't complain about that at all. All right. You just went, Tommy? All right. Yep. So it's you, Chris, 111.
Yeah, and I think if I had one of these picks, I would start to, in a real draft, especially if I had a need, I'd start to think about running backs. But right now, I'm going to take Chris Brazzell because I really, really like him, and I want you guys to start making the chips fall to make my choice a little bit easier on those running backs. I talked about it earlier with you guys before we started. The running backs 2 through 5 for me it's like a whole tier that's kind of a fluid mix. It's all going to depend on landing spot. But I really like Brazzell. I know that everybody's scared because he's from Tennessee, but they ran a lot more pro-style offense this year than they have in the past under Josh Heupel's offense. I think that he's pretty well set up for success at the NFL. He's got that freakish size and speed combination, which is what you just salivate at. So a lot of it's really going to depend. You'll hear me say that about every one of these guys, really. But where does he land? Who's throwing the ball to him? But I think he's got enough talent overall. He can be a deep threat. He can be a tall guy in the end zone. He separates pretty well. He's shown his dominance this year in the SEC with multiple 100-yard games stacked up. So I feel like he's one of the better values here at the back half of the first round.
Yep. I mean, he ran a 4.34, 4.35 something. He had one of the better times.
Very fast, yeah.
As the wide receiver, 6'5", running a 4.35 or whatever he did. I don't have the numbers. I'm throwing this out there, but yeah, I mean, the only knock I have on him is his helmet, and I don't think we can do that, but yeah, I love his profile. He kind of models like a T. Higgins type of player, and I don't like to just throw that out there without any backing. But my comp was to Christian Watson, and I think it was telling Tommy today that when I comped him to Christian Watson, and Christian Watson's brother quote tweeted me and was like, "No, man, don't be comping him to my brother." And then his dad got involved, and his dad actually was talking to somebody about Christian Watson the other day, and the kid said, "You don't know Christian Watson. You don't watch his tape. You have no idea what you're talking about." And he quote tweeted him. He's like, "I'm his dad. I've been watching him since he was born." And it was hilarious, man. Watson's family is out there, so be careful. Watson's family is everywhere. They're the Roma Dunze, only way nicer side of the family for sure.
That's always the best part of this.
They'll talk ball with you, and they'll just say, "Hey, this is why he's not Christian Watson," and there's a lot of respect there. So
I wrote something up on our Patreon a while back on Marcellus Hawkins, and his mom retweeted me, and I think Chev recently, Mike Washington's like aunt or somebody gave his birth date because we were all trying to figure out when he was born.
Dude, it's Google fun tells you when Mike Washington's born. You could just Google search Mike Washington's birthday. I don't know why you guys.
I don't think it was popping up. I don't know. Yeah, but it is fun to have all these families interacting, though. It's a great part of social media. It's always good.
You got to remember that too. If you're talking bad about somebody, the family's going to see it, man. You got to be careful out there.
Yeah, I kind of had one of those moments a couple months ago. I was talking about Nate Shepard, the running back for Duke, and I was kind of I had a guy ask me what I thought about him as a Devy prospect, and I said I think he's a good college running back. I don't see a whole lot of major burst and wiggle from him. And then his dad jumped in. So well, that's not what everybody else is saying. Well, okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, man. It's tough.
Don't let the haters get you.
I hate this area though, guys. The 111, 112, and then so on and so forth. I just realized that I have this not as linear. So we got to change that real quick. But yeah, I think 112. This was kind of a set and forget it guy for me. I'm not gonna hold out. Like, I think that DC wise, we're looking at Jonah Coleman, Price, and Emmett Johnson kind of going in the same area, and it is what it is. But I got to do it, my boys, and I'm going.
There you go.
You know where I'm going, right?
Absolutely.
I think that we saw enough where this guy is going to do it. He's probably going to be one of the second, at least probably the second running back drafted in the NFL, probably getting second round value in the actual, NFL draft. So I think you can't ignore it. Always high on this guy in general, but we saw it. We saw the numbers and everyone saw it. So if you didn't know who Mike Washington Jr. was, you definitely know who he is now. And I think that if you're going to get the RB2 ideally at 112, it's pretty good value personally.
Absolutely.
But I know you took him a little earlier today. I've seen him go in the 106, 107 range. I think that's a little spicy for me, but whatever. I think I'll always take a wide receiver over a running back in this stage, in this range, especially in this draft class. But now it's kind of wide open after the 111. It can go anywhere. It's just fluid. I don't fault you anywhere without landing spots. It's tough.
I like this game theory wise too, because most likely if you have 112, you either really, really needed a running back because you got these old vets on your team and you just won a championship. So you need to find some young blood there, or you've acquired this pick, but that means you've probably acquired other picks too, right? So you were probably hammering these wide receivers earlier in the draft. And then here at 112, you get a chance at RB2. So I think it makes a lot of sense to grab him right here at 112.
Yeah. You want to keep plugging along? Tommy, you're up at 201.
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to go with my RB2 right here, and we're going to go with Jonah Coleman. To me, he has proven it along multiple seasons. Mike Washington, prior to landing at Arkansas, wasn't all that great. He just, he landed in a good system with him, with Taylon Green there, and they both kind of dominated the touches in the backfield, to go along with a pretty good offensive line. But when he was at Buffalo, I didn't see anything special out of Mike Washington there. But now that but Jonah Coleman has proven it at Arizona. He's proven it at Washington, and he's gotten better with his hands. He's proven he can be a threat out of the backfield, and he's a very, very bowling ball-esque type runner. Kind of reminds me a lot of like a Doug Martin type of style.
Yeah, that's his comp. That's his comp for me. I think that was his comp when I did the pod with Garrett Price too. We talked about Doug Washington. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah.
I'm sorry, Doug Washington. You know who I'm talking about.
But I really like Jonah Coleman here. I thought, to me, he's probably the next best running back after Jeremiah Love. Again, it's all gonna be running. It's all gonna be landing spot dependent with these running backs. You never know. I mean, nobody thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to be the RB1 of a few years ago, and probably shouldn't have been. But that allowed somebody like J.K. Dobbins to fall to Baltimore, and if not for the injury, J.K. Dobbins would have been a really good running back.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. Jonah Coleman's my RB2 as well. He did slim down a little bit this year, and I know it wasn't his most productive year, but his college metrics as a career, they're all great. He looks like a complete back. I don't think he's going to be a lethal receiving threat. He's not going to put up 1 million PPR points, but I think 20 to 30 catches is definitely in his range of outcomes. I think that he's much like Sadiq. He's got an opportunity to be one of those guys who's on the field all the time. And that's tough to come by in this day and age with running backs. So if you're getting a guy here at the top half of the second round in Dynasty rookie drafts who can be on the field on more favorable side of like a 60, 65, 30, 35 split, that's perfect, man, because he's going to be a guy who could go out there, eat up a lot of touches, be the guy for a backfield, and be fresh young legs out there. So I think that's a great spot.
Yeah, I would love to see him as a Montgomery replacement running alongside Gibbs over there in Detroit. That'd be actually a nice little, I think that's their idea. If they don't land somebody to kind of take over, like an Algier or somebody, somebody on the market that would fit that role. I would really like to see Jonah Coleman or even a Katron Allen over there to be that bruising back, to be that he weighs a bowling ball, they would really benefit from his running style alongside Gibbs, where Gibbs can be that pass catching PPR weapon and Jonah Coleman could be that short yardage goal line guy to start his career. And then, obviously he can learn a lot in that system too. I think that it would benefit everybody involved. But all right. Tommy, you just went. Chris, you were at 202.
Yeah, I'll happily take Jadarian Price here. It's a little shocking. This is like roughly where he's been the back half of the first, early part of the second, in mocks even prior to the combine. But I feel like a month ago that wouldn't have been the case. There was people buzzing him up like crazy. I do think he's extremely talented. There's a lot of question marks about can he hold up because he hasn't done it. He's obviously split with Jeremiah Love, but I would have liked to see him go back to school and just be the dog for 1 year and see what he could, really do. But in this week running back class, you can't knock him for wanting to come out and try to get day 2 draft capital and become the man at one of these NFL backfields. So I like him a lot. He's very explosive. He reminds me a lot of Kenneth Walker. Like any given play, he can just have a big run. He's definitely suitable in the receiving game. He feels like one of the better upside bets at running back in this class. So I've seen him as high as RB2. Some people have him ranked. He's my RB3, so I'm happy to grab him here at 202.
Yeah, I know that you love Jadarian. I love him too. I think that he came in a little smaller than anticipated, but I'm not too worried about that. How do you feel about Jadarian Price, Tommy? Where do you stand on this guy?
I think he's explosive. I don't think he has the best vision. There's times where I've seen him hit a hole that was kind of wide open, and he was kind of slow bouncing it to that hole, and would kind of get tripped up a little. So I don't think he has the best vision, but as far as a pass catching back, a guy that can hit a home run, I think he's a good complementary back somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he's definitely, I think all these guys are going to be just that to start outside of Love. These guys are all going to be in a 1A, 1B situation for the most part coming into the NFL. And that's okay. That's what the NFL is nowadays,
Right.
Like even, aside from Henry Barkley, nobody doesn't have a running mate. Everyone's, 2 down back now in the NFL, and that's fine. These guys have so much explosiveness. They catch so many passes now that they really don't need to have 3 down rolls, and that's okay. It's the modern NFL, right? All right, I'm gonna take my guy. I think that he slid quite a bit after the combine right here, but that's Emmett Johnson. Obviously a little undersized, somebody that doesn't run fast for his size. It's a little alarming to a lot of people, but I think that he just has too much to his game as far as, his shiftiness. He's got that move in a phone booth. Like he could probably juke you out wherever you are. He's got that lateral agility. We always talk about lateral agility. Chris, you and Dustin and I dropped, obviously, Emmett Johnson rookie profile last week. We did talk about his positives. We talked about his negatives a little bit. He lacks the long speed. He does have a running upside style where it does frustrate me the way that he runs sometimes, but in open space, he shows a lot of contact balance. He shows that he can break arm tackles pretty well. Like I think that he runs through contact. He does have a lot of force missed tackles. He just has that workhorse ability at that size. I think that you're talking about somebody that can still hold a heavy weight, doesn't get injured, is always healthy, and he catches passes too, man. I mean, I'm not knocking this guy too much for his long speed. I'm sorry. I love him. I know he's got holes. I think every running back in this class has some holes, but give me Johnson at 203. I think I feel good about that.
Yeah, that's probably who I was taking next. So that's a good job taking Johnson there. You mentioned his long speed. Alvin Kamara didn't have long speed either. They ran roughly about the same type of 40. So I'm not overly worried about that. If he could put on another 5-7 pounds, I think I feel a little bit better about him being able to take the pounding in the NFL. Even Kamara was roughly 212, 215.
Yeah,
Johnson, I think weighed in 203, 205, something like that.
203, I believe.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd feel a little bit better, if you were put on 5 to 7 pounds. But
I didn't expect Johnson and Jadarian Price to be the same size. Honestly,
Yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that they were going to be coming in at 203. I think Jadarian Price plays a lot bigger than 203. Johnson plays a lot smaller than 203 at that point.
Yeah, well, and Johnson's a really good pass catcher. I mean, he's led running backs in college football and in receptions the last 2 years, hadn't he? So I mean, that's
he was actually the first guy in I think the Big Ten, just in football in general, to have over 1,300 yards and 350 receiving yards since Saquon Barkley.
Right.
To have to lead the league in rushing and receiving. I read that, and it was kind of surprising that he's the first guy to do that since Barkley. But all right, where we at? We're back to Tommy right now, 204.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with my next wide receiver on the board. I'm going Ted Hurst, wide receiver out of Georgia State.
Hell yeah, man!
Another big receiver, contested ball guy, and he surprised a lot of people with his 40. Ran a 4.42. Showed he's a lot faster than what a lot of people thought he was going to be. I think a lot of people kind of expected him in that 4 or 5 range, but he jumped up and snagged a 4.42 there. Big time contested catch guy, big time red zone target. Running at about 6. I think he's just over 6'4", 6'4.5", something like that. So I mean, he's a big body receiver, great catch radius. To me, middle of the second round, this seems perfect for him.
Yeah, I like Ted Hurst a lot. Dustin and I did a sleepers episode a couple months ago, and we highlighted him and a couple other guys. Just really, really fun to watch. I mean, obviously he was playing at a lower level of competition, so there is a bit of an uphill battle for him that doesn't always historically translate well. But when you watch him, I mean, he just got soft hands. He looks great out there. He tracks the ball extremely well in the air. He's got a natural feel for the timing of the high point. He did drop the ball a little bit, unfortunately, so that's something to keep your eye on. And my biggest knock on him is, like, sometimes I feel like he just jumps unnecessarily. That's something. I'm an Eagles fan. We used to make fun of Brent Selleck for that because it seemed like, he was a tight end, of course, but it seemed like he would just jump for whatever reason anytime the ball was coming towards him. Ted sometimes seems like he falls into that same trap, but that's not something that can't be coached out of him. So I think this might be a little bit aggressive for me at 204. But I'm glad that you're highlighting him because he's a guy who's still flying under people's radars, and I think there's a good shot that he's going to be a riser come draft day.
Yeah, Tommy has put his nuts on the table, baby. He has definitely, in the back-to-back picks, 104, 204, nuts out. Nuts everywhere, dude. Just nuts smushed against your screen right now. I love it, dude. Man, I love Ted. I love Ted Hurst, by the way. I really do. I think
I'm just trying to drag him in a wheelbarrow like Randy Marsh. So,
yeah, well, that's what I see when we're pulling out of this. When we're pulling out of this pod, I just Tommy nuts everywhere. I love it, dude. I mean, I did a whole pod on him actually a couple weeks ago with Dynasty Dog Mike. We talked about Ted Hurst, and he models his game after T. Higgins. I see that. I see a lot of just tall, big X that has a lot to his game outside of just being a contested catch guy, and I think that he could definitely blossom into a perennial RB2 in the NFL if fallen in the right spot for sure. But is that me now? Who went? Oh no, I went Emma Johnson. Now it's you, Chris. You're going 205.
So I think since Tommy did it, I got to do it too. I got to put my nuts on the table. I'm gonna take Drew Aller, because everybody who listens to the dojo knows I went to Penn State. I'm a gigantic homer. I've been saying for a long time, I think that he's one of the most pro-ready, translatable quarterbacks, especially in this weak class. And it seemed like he did a good job at the combine of kind of raising his stock a little bit. He came back from that injury looking pretty good. He's got a lot of buzz around him right now. So I feel like this is a great spot to grab him, because it seems like I was saying he's locked into day 2, but realistically, he's got a shot to sneak into the first round so that some team can get that extra year out of him, because he's most likely going to need a year to sit. But you want to get a guy or get him on a team where he can have a vet in front of him, help coach him up a little bit. He's made some poor mistakes, but that's not really the highlight of his career. He's got one of the best interception ratios we've seen coming out of college. It's like 1.19 or something. He famously set the record for most pass attempts without throwing a pick to start his collegiate career. It was like 300 something. Unfortunately, a lot of his interceptions, few though they might be, were in clutch situations. So last year in the semifinals against Notre Dame, this year against Oregon in double overtime that ended the game. So when he makes a mistake, man, it's been brutal. But he's got that big body. You know, he was a huge 24/7 had him a perfect rating coming out of high school as a recruit. They just really didn't give him anything to work with. Obviously, he had Tyler Warren, but they never put any wide receivers around him. So when you watch the tape on him, if you're looking, it's like there's nobody open. So one of the knocks that Dustin gives him is it seems like he's not reading the field too well, not progressing through very well. But I think he just knows, man, those guys aren't open. So I'm going to have to dump it off to Katron or Singleton or tight end or whoever. So it's going to be a nice fresh start for him. And I'm glad that he's finally getting a little bit of buzz after the combine. I think there's a legitimate shot that he's the second quarterback taken in the NFL draft.
Oh man, you're pulling at my heartstrings, dude. Because as a Devy guy for years and taking Aller way higher than I should have in a lot of Devy drafts, because I was very young and I didn't understand that you're not going to take a rookie quarterback in the first round of Devy drafts. And then I've matured after a couple of years here, but I've had a couple of Aller bags still to this day that I'm with. So I would love that outcome. When I watch Aller, I do see a lot of traits that I love. I see him, make anticipatory passes. I see him really understand his read sometimes. I've seen him go through all levels. And then I've also seen him crumble under duress. I've seen his mechanics just fall apart when he's pressured. I've seen him, look at his first read and then just fall apart after that and not go through any progress. Like I see him do a great play and then I see him fall apart, much like Cam Ward this year. I could see him go through his reads one play and then I could see him just lose it, not understand the play, not know where his receivers are going to be, just panicking. And it's tough, but I hope he figures it out. I do.
Yeah,
I know he's your.
He's just got a cannon, so he's got that arm strength that you want. And yeah, you're right. The mental processing is a little bit of an issue at times for him, especially under duress. And the footwork is the big thing. He's not always great with his footwork, which is something that can be coached out of him. But especially when he's under pressure, it doesn't look great with his feet, and that kind of throws off his entire rhythm. So that's why I think
he's like the opposite. Like the complete opposite of Ty Simpson. If you put these two players together, if you combine them in a lab and you had the processing and the mental of Ty Simpson and you put it with Aller's actual arm, I think you would have a great quarterback.
Absolutely.
But
yeah.
I hate both of them by themselves.
Well, if you put all that together, you may have Josh Allen.
You might.
The problem is though, you fall in love with the physical attributes of a guy, then he turns out to be Will Levis.
Right.
That's kind of my fear for Drew Aller. He turns out to be Will Levis.
Not even a bad outcome, though, honestly. Levis had at least a year in the NFL to get not a great situation, obviously, but I would love to see Aller start for a year and see what happens. If that's possible.
He's one of the better upside plays out of all these quarterbacks, after Mendoza. So happy to take him here, even if it is a little bit of a homer pick.
I got you. If we're going pure upside right now, I can't ignore the pure upside of the other USC wide receiver in this class. And I'm going Jacoby Lane just because he does have that raw ability. He has that upside to be that contested catch, end zone target. He's a big boy and he's long. He's got long arms. He's got that vertical to him. I just think he could be carving out a pretty good role in the NFL, and possibly tighten up and polish his game a little bit and be a pretty good weapon, like as a wide receiver 2 on a team, that has a PPR monster, and he's just that guy that runs out in the end zone and has the big playability.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's flying under people's radar. He's another one who I feel like performed pretty well, especially in the on-field drills at the Combine this weekend. And I even said to my boys in the dojo chat, I'm like, I think Lane's going to go higher than a lot of people think. He's got enough of those attributes that I feel like somebody's going to take a shot on. We see it every year. These guys who we think might be, more day 3 guys start to sneak into round 3, get better capital than you think, and then come draft season, they're going a lot higher in Dynasty Rookie Drafts. So I can't knock the pick there. I think it's a good spot.
You're talking Lane, you're talking Jeremy Bernard, Branch. They all tested well, man. And there's teams that are going to fall in love with that. And it could go real sideways, but sometimes you got to take it seriously. I think Lane has the physical attributes, the athleticism that you want to take that seriously. The other guys, you got to fall right for me to even question this range on them. But I mean, we might see 1 or 2 of those guys coming up at least in the second round, because this does get hairy, like it does. We're talking pure upside in the second round of this rookie draft right now, for the most part.
Yeah,
Tommy,
with Jacoby Lane right here. When I watch him, I see all arms and legs here. Just super long. You remember that scene in Space Jam where Michael Jordan's stretching out to dunk the ball? To me, that's Jacoby Lane has those arms, dude. It's just like, just super stretch,
Yeah, he looks like 2 kids standing on each other's shoulders with a trench coat.
That's funny.
His face, he's like the face of a 12-year-old boy, and like he's just this like 6'5". I think what is he, 6'4"? I can't remember how tall he is, but he's like,
I think 6'4", yeah.
Just super long though.
He's a tall kid, man. And yeah, he is. He just got long arms, long legs, small torso. Like he's just like he's definitely built for basketball for sure. Like a rebounder, and I want that in wide receivers, especially in the end zone. He's a good rebounder for sure. All right. I think it's you, Tommy. You want 207.
We're up to me. My next guy is a guy we've talked about a little bit here. You took your Penn State guy a minute ago. I'm taking another one here, Kaytron Allen. You kind of mentioned him alongside of Jonah Coleman, being kind of that kind of tough, bruising running back. He was so much better than what Nick Singleton was at Penn State, and it like, to me, it wasn't even close, dude. I mean, whenever you're in the same offense, but you're averaging like 2.5 more yards per carry. That shows me how much better of a running back you are. And much more consistent. Kaytron Allen has the tools to be a lead back in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I'm higher on Kaytron Allen than the consensus right now, but we did a rookie profile on him too, and yeah, he just has that workhorse. He's the fat man, like he's that big bodied guy, and he moves faster than his size. I think for the guy that can move to the second level, and he's not like a speedster by any means. He doesn't have long speed, but like he's got wiggle to his game. He's definitely able to be an elusive back at his size, and he's physical, man. He can definitely be a power runner, somebody that's on the goal line, short yardage, very similar to Jonah Coleman's game where he's going to run through you. He can break tackles, and yeah, he's definitely going to profile as like the kind of Nick Chubb type of running back in the NFL. Like he's not going to catch passes. He's not going to, work out of the slot or anything like that, but he'll bruise, he'll get his money, and he's definitely going to rack up yards carrying you if he has to.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously love the guy. I think he's a great pick here. He's one of the safer bets out of this rookie running back class because there's always going to be a spot for his game in a backfield, even in this modern era where we see a lot of committees. You want a guy who can just go out there and thump, and that's what he can do, man. He's not afraid of contact. He loves to plow people over. He does have pretty good vision, too. So I think that's when you talk about his yards per carry, that's a lot of the difference between him and Singleton is he knows what he's doing out there on the field. And once he gets going, man, it's tough to bring him down. So he's a really fun one to watch, and no matter where he lands, what his draft capital is, there's going to be an opportunity for him as a rookie to immediately, be involved in some packages on offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
I think I'm up next. I'm going to go the opposite of upside, but a guy who I've really liked for a long time, Jeremy Bernard. He's just a fun guy, man. Kind of the same vein as Allen. There's always going to be a spot for him in a wide receiver rotation. He could play anywhere. He even had some running back touches this year for Alabama because they were lacking a lot of those, which is funny because Jam Miller was testing pretty well actually here at the Combine, but seemed like Jam Miller was waiting for the NFL to start really making his presence known. But
so Jam Miller to me,
he had that offseason injury too. He had that offseason injury where he broke his collarbone,
right,
or dislocated his collarbone, whatever it was, and was out for the first half of the season.
Yeah, Jam Miller, tough, man. I dropped him in a couple Devy leagues, but I'd see him being like a good back end the fourth round type of target. And,
absolutely,
it was tough. Definitely a tough watch. Jam Miller. Yeah, I don't know. I had to say something about him.
But I love Bernard, man, because he can line up at any of the positions. He can play slot. He can play outside. Just an absolute leader in the locker room. A guy who I don't think has that high upside, but I think he's got a good shot to be an immediate, flex producer, especially if you're in a deeper league. A guy who can go out there and improve on his game from college pretty quickly and make a name for himself immediately in an NFL lineup. So I'm looking forward to seeing where he lands. He's probably going round 2. He's going to be a solid option for any quarterback. So I like him here.
I like it. All right, I'm 209. I'm doing a flag plant right here, and I am taking Justin Jolie. I really enjoy his game. I think that he's going to be a good receiving tight end. I know that this probably is a little early for him, but I think that he's definitely my guy, and I just think that he profiles as a pretty decent year one PPR guy that can probably get you upwards of 600, 700 yards, a couple touchdowns, and just have a decent rookie year and kind of build off of that. But I don't expect him as a world beater by any means, but I think he's definitely going to be a viable guy in the NFL as far as his production goes. And, I said that he could definitely work as an athletic tight end and maybe find a Harold Fannin role at that point, and possibly, fall into a situation where they want to use him in that kind of capacity. But I think he just has too much athleticism not to throw a I don't know, just put a flag on him. I've been talking about him for a long time now. So
yeah, I was actually shocked. I'm writing up his profile right now. I'll get that finished by the end of the night. I was shocked that his contested catch rate wasn't a little higher. It's just under 50%, but he looks like a contested catch monster out there, and he is tough, dude. He's really hard to bring down, much more athletic than you would think when you look at his body. He's somebody who I feel like has been rising steadily over the offseason, and with good reason. I really like this pick.
Yeah, to me, he's Kenyon Sadiq light. They kind of resemble each other as far as kind of their stature. I think Sadiq is clearly more athletic. He's a supreme athlete, but Jolie is a really good athlete in his own right.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see him just fall in a spot where, like I said with Stowers, and they might fall into a team that doesn't have a lot of receiving options. And you want this with these rookie tight ends. You want them to fall into spots where they're going to be viewed as a weapon, and they need the targets to really get going. You want them to be a main part of the offense. So we saw Laporta his rookie year, obviously last year the Browns really struggled to get the ball in open space and stuff. So Yeah, I mean, that's just fingers crossed. But I would, if you're really struggling, I would just take the tight end with the best receiving profile in this draft class. If you're later in the second, obviously we're going to see how this plays out with landing spots in DC, but Jolie definitely one of my guys for sure.
Good pick.
All right, Tommy, we're almost to the end here.
Yep. Well, you went with one of your guys at tight end. I'm going to go with another one of my guys at tight end. Let's go with Max Clare, tight end for Ohio State. Big 6'5", 240-pound receiving tight end. He's not the greatest blocker, but there's several tight ends who have proven you don't have to be the best blocker to be out there on the field, catch passes. And this guy's a really good athlete, really good pass catcher.
Yeah, I like Claire. I definitely could flip-flop these guys. I could probably this range of guys. I even like Delp down there too, just because it's tough, man. Like we're talking about his quarterback play. I think that Delp had a lot of meat on the bone, as they say. I think that he probably could have produced at a higher clip. But that it is what it is. What about 211, Chris? Where are you going?
I'm just going to keep the tight end train rolling. This is probably a little bit of a reach, but I really like Michael Trigg. He's been a guy who I've been high on for a little while now. He's just so much fun to watch. And obviously, I know that you guys know this because you're Devy guys. It's been a long road to get to this point.
Yep.
Everybody's been waiting for him. But he's just so much fun to watch because he moves really well out there as a receiver. So another one who, maybe not the greatest blocker, but you can split him out wide. You can use him in different packages and find ways to get him the ball all over the field. So love the highlight reel catches he makes. He's got those big, strong hands. He can make one-handed grabs. He can make some beautiful like sideline toe taps he's made before. So a lot of fun to watch, a lot of upside there. And with these, late seconds into the third round. I love doing this every year in tight end premium. Just start tapping some of these tight ends that you feel good about, which is what we just did here with a little bit of a run.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm telling you. If all else fails, go get your tight end, because we're just seeing in the NFL now a lot of rookie tight ends just producing. Used to be like a 3-year window for tight ends. It used to be such a slow moving process. Give them time. And now they're working them in almost immediately. Like the Tucker Crafts, these guys, they come in, they might sit a little bit, but they're going to be in motion. They're going to be on the field, especially if they have a decent understanding, because it is the hardest position, I think, on the offensive side, where you are, you're in pass pro all the time. You're essentially running plays. You're still on the field. You got to figure out ways to stay on the field. And that's really what's important. I'll fall on the landmine right here. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I was going to say, this is a really deep class for tight ends. Surprisingly deep class for tight ends. You're probably looking at 7, 8, 9 guys who could potentially, give you something during their career. I mean, we didn't even mention guys like Joe Royer, Sam Roush, Tanner Koziol,
Delp.
Delp, guys who have that athletic profile. I kind of mentioned this in my post combine rookie rankings that we just dropped on the Devy Planet on Substack. Had to plug that. This is a really deep tight end class.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we talk about depth. This is just actually a deeper class than people want to admit too. I think that people are finally seeing that there's a little more to it. There's a little more, juice to this class in general, where I think that we have a full 3-4 round rookie draft that we can be okay with when it's all said and done. Obviously, some of these guys are going to fall off the board completely, and then some of these guys are going to rise up. But I think for the most part, like Elijah Surratt at 212 feels good to me, I think, and then we're not even talking about Ty Simpson on this board yet, but I don't like him at all. Are you guys way out on Ty Simpson like me? Because I've seen mocks where he's going in the first round.
I'd rather have Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I would too.
But I feel like that's a fine spot to take him the back of the, depending on the draft cap he gets. But right now, man, there's just too much upside in other positions to want to do that. I thought that's where you're going when you said you're falling on the land. I was
thinking about it, and then I saw Surratt right there, and I was like, I think I know where Surratt is going to land. I think he's going to be looking at 3rd round value, and he's probably going to at least get his. All right, so Ty Simpson to me has the Kenny Pickett type of trajectory. I think that he probably lands on a team that they overdraft him, and he probably starts until they find somebody else that can replace him. And I think it's going to be a struggle. We're talking about somebody that's only started 15, 16 games in his career. And I think he deteriorated. He had that injury, but I think he just doesn't have the longevity of an NFL starter. And that's all I'm going to say, because I'm breaking him down in a couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I would rather have guys that have better upside, like a Garrett Nussmeier, like a Sawyer Robertson, like a Cole Payton, even Taylor Green. Honestly, with that athleticism, you could do so much with guys like that. To me, I kind of put Ty Simpson kind of in that same tier with like a Carson Beck, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Yeah, that would have been crazy a few months ago, but I completely agree with that at this point.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he came off so hot, and it was kind of like maybe Ty Simpson. I remember there was a point in time in like November where everyone thought Ty Simpson was going to be the quarterback 1 of this class. Everyone's like, oh, this is the shift right now. And they were talking, somebody today, it was like Herbie, I think it was Herb Street or somebody was saying that Ty Simpson looked better than Mendoza the first 15 games of the season or something. Did you guys see that?
I did not, but Herb Street, man, he's gone south last couple of years.
It's such a bad take, man. It's such a bad take. Now I have a vendetta against big media because they're all just spewing out whatever they want to spew.
Yeah, they all have to have a hot take. They're
fighting for clicks now. We're taking the market.
And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But all right, boys, that was a beautiful draft, man. I think you guys killed it. It's always good drafting with ball nowhere. So you guys are Devy minds, and it's really nice to just go fluid with this and talk it through. We did go a little over than I wanted to, but I think that there's a lot of information there. If you guys didn't see the whole draft over here, if you're joining us late, definitely start from the beginning. A lot of analysis, a lot of reasonings why we're going here. And if you didn't catch my guest tonight, I got Chris the Cardman underneath me at Devy Dojo. Chris, tell everybody what you guys are doing over at Devy Dojo and what you have coming up for content.
Yeah, you can find our audio on Devy Dojo wherever you listen to podcasts. Our YouTube channel, we're on the Fantasy Football Advice Network, so find their YouTube, and we're on there along with some other great podcasts. And we're actually doing the Fantasy Football Advice Network Rookie Guide, which is supposed to drop in about a week. So we're just putting the finishing touches on it. We're going to have at least 60 rookie profiles. We're just getting in the final home stretch here, so that should be good. I'm sure we'll be plugging that out. So check our Twitters at Chris the Cardman is me, at Devy Dojo, at Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Find us all over the place, and we'll get you what you need.
Hell yeah, man, Chris! I appreciate you joining us tonight. And then,
thanks.
Obviously, not last but not least, over here we got the Devy Degens host himself, Tommy Harvey. So at Tom Harvey Sports. I always fumble your handle. I'm sorry. But Tommy, outside of Devy Degens, which you guys just dropped a 2027 mock draft where you're talking about risers and fallers in the off season, that is on the channel right now. If you guys haven't seen that, definitely go over and just check out the 2027 class, get that edge, find out all these players that are rising and falling in the off season on the Devy landscape. But Tommy, outside of that, tell everybody what you guys are doing over there and what you have personally going on.
Yeah. Go check us out on the Devy Planet channel. Also, we'll have stuff coming out on there. But our the main thing we're working on right now is getting our Substack up. So go subscribe over there. The Devy Planet, self-explanatory there. Go give us a follow. Make sure you're reading up on all of our stuff that we got there. Coming out with more every day. We got a few things, a few special things in the works that I'm not going to spill the beans on yet. But stay tuned.
Hell yeah, man! I appreciate both of you guys a lot. I appreciate you joining me. Everybody that joined live, everybody that asked questions, I appreciate you guys. This is the Dynasty Rewind. And I'm with the Degens, obviously, both of us, and we're doing rookie profiles. Me and Tommy are doing Omar Cooper. on Wednesday, and then the other host of Debbie Degens, we're doing Garrett Nussmeyer on Saturday. So look out for those on the channel, and then we'll catch you guys next week with the next mock draft. Peace.
You are now listening to the Dynasty Rewind.